Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird and welcome back to AIRIS. Without any further ado, let's just jump into it. Right here. Flanked by the guards, Lyle and I pace into the castle, equally tense and curious. Nobody has treated us like traitors or criminals thus far, so I don't think we need to worry too much. But the fact that the king wants to talk to us personally is in itself odd. Even if he has somehow learned that Lyle has let me in on the secret, what of it? It's not like it's a well-kept secret, considering almost everyone in AIRIS is already aware of everything I am. The throne room stuns me to silence in its monumentality. In both size and elegance. I've never seen that word before. I mean, so it's kind of hard to fucking pronounce it because I've never seen it. I mean, I know what monument is. I know what that means. It's just never done that. Anyways, Lyle grabs my arm and shifts towards me to whisper in my ear. I feel them shiver through the contact. Are you ready, Ilya? Am I ready? Who knows? We don't even know what this is about. Not only that, but I'm also excited. But also I'm excited. Yay, we're gonna die! No, but this is necessary, not at all. What? Excuse me, I have to say not only that, but also I'm excited. What the fuck? Okay. You're excited? What do you mean? I'm sure he hasn't brought us over to punish us, and whatever he says or does, I doubt it will kill us. Am I really sure? Not quite, but Lyle doesn't need to know that. One of us has to be optimistic, and even while I worry about the king's motives, I do believe Lyle and I can handle anything he throws at us. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet the king, you know? Well, you wouldn't, but it's true. You told me I've already met him, but I don't remember it, so that was an occasion wasted. I wasn't expecting a second chance, and believe me when I say I'm grateful for this one. You seem fond of him, though you really do need to tell me why sometime. It's past time I saw for myself all his brilliant virtues. Lyle nods hesitantly. I see. I'm glad you're excited to meet him. He's an incredible man and beyond incredible ruler, although he may seem too pragmatic at times. I believe you. We continue walking onward in silence. When we get finally close enough that the king is no longer a speck of dust in the distance, the king raises his chin to look at us, then nods in greeting. He looks so short compared to Lyle. Oh! And Lyle immediately collapses to a bow, with one knee on the ground and the other arched up, their foot square on the ground. I do my best to mimic their motions. My lord. Even as it trembles with fear. Even as it trembles. Lyle is no longer a they. Lyle's an it now. Oh, I was talking about their voice. God, I'm stupid. Okay. Even as it trembles with fear, their voice is reverent and almost eager. No, probably my imagination. You have requested our presence? The king gives a hearty laugh and finally speaks up. Lyle, my poor servant of souls. Lyle, my poor servant of souls. Servant of souls, a common term referring to one who dedicates themselves to helping the others around them, as opposed to servant of mothers, who dedicate themselves to the study and pursuit of religious endeavors. It's a complimentary title after a fashion. I also duly noticed the "my" he inserts into a sentence, and the seeming warmth the tone of his voice seems to carry. Does the word have any relevance? Or am I reading too much into trivial things? Lyle eases up Lyle eases up the slightest bit.
Good, good. There's no need to tense or worry. I'm here to pay you a compliment, you see.
Lyle and I glanced at each other, furrowing our brows, before returning our gaze to the king. A compliment, my lord? I decided best not to say anything unless directly addressed. Lyle knows the king better than I could dream of, and seems strangely eager to respond himself anyway.
Why, yes, it has come to my attention that the two of you have discovered a portal to some never-before-seen land. Is this correct?
Yes, my lord. Desert. When did you hear? Hardly an hour has passed since we reported our findings to the guild, and the round trip between the guild hall and this castle would have taken that long by itself. The king waves his hand dismissively and chuckles.
I cast a charm of protection on you years ago, and since it's a long-lasting one, it's always slightly drained at my mana. Something I'm constantly aware of in the back of my mind.
You did? I'm honored, your lord. Lyle looks flustered beyond words and rational thought. Though I'm happy for them, I can't help but frown. I'm far from a magician, but I remember hearing that charms of protection are easy to detect by nature. How could Lyle have not known about such a charm if it's been years? The king may have powerful magicians, but are his mages really so powerful that they can override such an inherent trait? I shake my head. I suppose it shouldn't matter.
When you crossed into the other land, my mana levels filled. I was sorrowed, for I assumed you had died, but the mana began pooling away again mere moments later. That's when I realized what had happened.
That was a fucking yawn.
For I've long known about the existence of foreign worlds, though I'd given up all hope of discovering it. I thank the two of you with all my heart and soul for the discovery. Your discovery is crucial to the survival of AIRIS, and it is why I've summoned you in such haste.
Important? Important how?
I shall discuss it in a moment. More pressingly, how were the the creatures there?
The beasts? What do you mean? Narrowing his eyes into slits, the king slumps as if disappointed.
Were they normal?
Kylan. Hey! Who are you? Why is it always with... Why are most of the errors in this game involve Kylan? Or King Lee... Fucking Kylan! Why is it that all the errors have to do with fucking Kylan? I'm going to find the game developers and tell them about this. Cause holy shit. All the errors in this game have to do with Kylan. Like, why did they just like Kylan's name so much that they had to put it everywhere? Like, what the fuck? Well, since it says it's Kylan, I have to do it in Kylan's voice. Were they normal? Plagued? Did they attack you? I apologize. We crossed the portal to the desert under extenuating circumstances, and we were in a rush to return. We did not come across any creatures, let alone manage to find out more about them. If your highness wishes, I will gladly return to the desert as soon as I am excused and compare them to the creatures we have here at home. The king's lips curve up into a pleased smile.
Yes, thank you. I am most grateful for your aid. Now, servant of souls, you know about our precarious relations with the Earthlings.
The king's eyes flicker towards me, but they're dismissive at best, and they soon leave my face. From the nonchalance in his body language and the way his eyes are quick to return to Lyle, I decide not to worry. I take the cue to begin staring blankly at the two of them as though I think they are speaking of completely mundane topics. Lyle spoke of some censor that would alter any words of relevance. It shouldn't be too hard to feign ignorance, and I'm glad I won't have to interrupt the flow of the conversation and risk missing out on key details by having to ask for explanations. Mentally, I thank the Mother of Souls that I've been silent until now. My silence won't be interpreted as suspicious, but rather as normal.
Are you aware of the significance of a land not marred by the plague?
The Earthling's reach hasn't spread that far. Is that what you're asking about? What of it?
I dismissed any notions of discovering it because I assumed we'd never be able to find such lands, even if they did still exist, but they hold the key to curing this world's current conundrums.
How so? The king takes a long moment to exhale.
The tale's long, so I will explain only the bare bones of it. I'm sure you already know the tale of the mothers of AIRIS.
Lal nods immediately, while I do the same after a beat of hesitation. Legends of the mothers have never been erased from my memories, at least as far as I can tell, so there should never have been a filter added to it either. The mothers of AIRIS, collectively, the term refers to the mothers of souls and life, sorceresses from centuries past who were defied for saving our world from alien threats. When the king continues, he deliberately selects his words and veils the truth so that I'd be able to understand them, filter or no filter. Listening intently, I suppress a sign of relief.
While AIRIS is currently not at war with any otherworldly entities, we do not know when such threats will return. Remember, there are once innumerable portals peppered innumerable portals peppered throughout the lands that led to other dimensions. There, and our continued association with the dozens of the other dimensions we knew existed were what led to the war against the alien force in the first place. The mothers may have sealed up the portals to prevent another potential war, but it's always possible that alien forces may discover some alternative means of communication with, teleportation to, or manipulation of our home. Yet we have lost the older magic that would help us defend ourselves, and we certainly cannot hope that sorceresses as powerful as the mothers will appear conveniently before such conflicts arise. To our hopes, however, there are laws that continue the tale of the mother's blessings. They have lost their place in the mainstream in part because the legends are fated by nature to change as they are told across generations, and in part because the peace has enjoyed for so long have made them seem irrelevant at best. However, the throne has never lost the tales, and their accuracy has probably been preserved to some degree as well. They speak of the mother's prodigious foresight.
This is hurting my throat.
The tales claim that before their death, the sorceress sealed up the entirety of their magical abilities and with the inert Bertus, the one that was once the strongest and the most important, in fact. And they created at least 5 paths in distant corners of AIRIS that would lead to the key to the portal. Because the sorcerers feared that their powers would be harvested and abused, they made it so that the portal could be accessed by those who show signs of direct ties to alien forces or nations or some such. And even then, they need to be desperate enough to be willing to risk their lives. Other than that requirement, however, it's said that the mothers made the paths to the portals fairly obvious and straightforward, so I've long wondered why it's proved so elusive. The desert you discovered is undoubtedly a path to the key. As I told you, my mana was temporarily returned to me when you crossed it. If that is not evidence, there is no evidence to be found. What were the circumstances through which you found the desert?
Aurelia jumped off a cliff because she thought she saw a portal there.
I see. I wonder, it's been millennia after all, and the world shifts with time. Perhaps that's why. And there's one other thing you must know, though it does not directly relate to your quest.
Pardon?
Even after we find the portal, there's a chance that vessels I assume, although I don't know how many, must be sacrificed. Volunteers, of course, but the loss will be a tragedy regardless.
What do you mean?
I do not yet know myself. Even once we're able to harness the powers of the mothers, our home cannot be saved without significant changes, and I don't necessarily know
How the changes will manifest?
nor do I know who will be harmed in the process.
Hesitantly I nod. Lyle does the same.
In any case, while the two of you may not be able to access the key itself, you two may certainly look for it. While I will now order all vessels via a royal decree to search for this key, the two of you were the ones who first came across the new realm, and I have hopes that the two of you will find the key yourselves.
Thank you, Your Highness, for your faith in us. We will try our best to search for our lost lands.
You have my gratitude, servants of souls. May the Mother of Souls give you her blessings.
With that, the king ceases to speak. Lyle and I take it as our cue to leave. Just as we turn around, the king chimes in again.
About our plans.
Our plans?
Regarding the spread of the treatment. Surely you must have noticed a few vessels acting confused or disoriented when you returned.
I did notice, yes.
Do you realize what it means?
Yes, I do. I've begun to spread the cure. I am happy for AIRIS. The king lets out a bark of laughter.
You have not changed. You still do not know how to lie, nor are you any good at concealing your emotions. But of course, that's exactly what I appreciate most in you. I apologize that I could not send a message to you regarding the sudden progression of our plans.
I'm a mere servant of AIRIS. There's no reason I should have been made aware of anything.
No, you were instrumental in helping develop and test the treatments. We would have been significantly delayed without your aid in particular. Moreover, where would I find a retainer more loyal?
I don't deserve.
You do, and you know it. But, well, maybe not. Your companion has not seemed confused by our conversation even once, despite the fact that we have discussed plans, tests, treatments, overhauling the override. The superior question would be, what haven't we discussed? At this point in her progression, the filter that converts any and all words regarding the override should have long shattered. So it's intriguing that she seems to understand exactly what we're talking about.
Lyle and I freeze. Crap, mother of wretched souls. I should have acted confused. The king explodes into a guffaw. Guffaw! Jaffa! I only tense up more.
Worry not, I only tease.
Does it still count as teasing if the speaker wields so much power over the listener? The king can easily have us beheaded with a single gesture of his hand for the slightest of offenses.
I expected you to go off running to her and spill everything as soon as you had the smallest suspicion that she'd be able to understand your words.
No. My lord, you are my...
Do not fret so much. I am a king, not a tyrant. You threw quite a tantrum when the girl was first selected, and you always reacted quite distinctively whenever she became involved.
A tantrum? That doesn't sound like Lyle at all, and though I hope they have reacted vehemently in my defense, I can't help but feel that the king is being more than a little patronizing with his exaggerations. At least I'm glad the king's words somewhat corroborate Lyle's own. Though it's grating to listen to him talk about me like I'm not even here. As if reading my mind, Lyle glances at me apologetically. When I turn to look at Lyle more thoroughly, however, I see that offense is the least of the expressions that battled to paint their face. No, the primary expressions seem to be what almost looks like petulance and, well, some mild sort of childish pleasure at having been recognized. I shake my head. I must be making things up. I've never seen Lyle like this. They feel so young, so vulnerable, when they've always been the more mature one of our duo, the head to my heart. The fact that it's the king whom I know nothing personal about, rather than me, who can get Lyle to make such expressions wrenches my heart, but only momentarily, before I shake off the thought. Now I'm acting as strange as they are.
Last I heard, you even begged Tasha to meet her personally, didn't you?
Tasha? Don't tell me. Head healer Natasha? That must have been after I rambled to Lyle about how much I needed to meet with her for peace of mind. So the reason I managed to find a spot in her schedule wasn't because of luck, but because of Lyle? Huh.
I'd have to be a fool to not have realized then that nothing could stop you from letting her in on the truth.
Are you really alright with it, my lord?
Of course. I only brought it up because I wanted you to know you do not have to keep such trifling matters as secrets from me. It is not hard for me to find out such things. Do make sure to discuss these matters with me in advance, though, won't you? I assure you I will not refuse.
But you warned me that if I told Alia a thing, you'd...
That was then, this is now. People are constantly evolving, which is a lesson you must learn.
I see, of course. Thank you for your generosity and wisdom, my lord.
You are most certainly welcome. Now, you are excused, but don't let this meeting be our last. Feel free to visit me at any time, for I hold no hard feelings against you. Lyle.
Lyle hesitates, then nods, and we bow one last time before scurrying out of the throne room. Ooh, that was intense! Gazing at our surroundings, Lyle and I continue to swing, or attempt to, but our feet keep dragging on the ground, preventing any proper movement. Lyle brought me here, telling me they had something to say, but we've both been sitting without a single word. From the way they specifically said not to bring Teddy, it's clear they planned to speak of something serious, and probably something the filters would alter to the point that Teddy's presence may only prove a distraction. While I've never minded silence with Lyle, questions and worries linger in the air around me, causing me to fidget. Eventually, I decide to speak up myself. I've only ever been to this town once before, and that was when... Yeah, same for me. I can't say anything for sure as a result, but I'm sure this place was beautiful once. Yeah, probably. Hearing their curt responses, I furrow my brows. A beat passes by before they speak up again. Their voice is timid and it shakes uncharacteristically. I reach out to hold their hand. Do you think anyone will be able to live here again? I don't know. After a decent amount of renovation, probably, but I don't see why anyone would bother. Fuck. The people who lived here might. It's their home after all. Of course, but it's also where they lost everything they had and the lives of those important to them. I'm all over my own words, thinking back to my own home, ravaged by bandits all those years ago. I don't know if you remember my mentioning this, but what happened here was similar to what happened to you, right? Lyle nods, and I see that their eyes have dampened. I squeeze their hand. The monsters were similar too, a similar species. I was there, you know. I was there to watch my parents. They choke over their words, and as they continue to speak, they stutter and struggle. Their hand around mine clenches, but they don't seem to realize it themselves. They tried to protect me. And they... Oh, poor Lyle's crying. Like... Every time you dislike a video, Lyle cries. So like this video. I'm joking, okay? This is a fucking joke. I don't give a shit what you do. Well, there were three of us. Three of us in the house, two deranged beasts. My parents, they weren't fighters. They had magic, of course, but this was long ago, and that they knew long enough ago that they knew practically nothing of offensive or defense. Communication between towns was scarce. It simply wasn't necessary except for the purpose of trade, and the legs on the beasts weren't common knowledge. I remember they knew how to start fires small enough to light candles, which they could then use to manually rather than magically burn hearths and the like, or hearths. They knew how to purify water and help accelerate the growth of the crops by a week or so. And they knew how to heal. Oh, they knew how to heal, all right. oh, they knew how to heal. Oh, they knew how to heal, all right. Too bad they couldn't defend themselves at all. Mother was first to go. Sobs racked him through them endlessly. Oh God! And when they resumed speaking, their words slip out between their heart-rending heartrending wails in an accent common in the East that I've never heard them use before. Oh no, I don't know how to do an Eastern accent. I thought they'd spent enough time in the capital that they'd long forgotten how to speak that way. Clearly I was wrong. She cut her own wrist like the kitchen knife. Used her own blood as a love for the beasts. Father tried to stop her, replace her. He failed. Nothing could stop my mother. Nothing ever could. I always loved her for it, until the day I didn't anymore. Couldn't anymore. That was the day my thoughts on her mattered none at all. Breath hitches in my throat, and I gave it with them, duly realizing we've long quit even attempting to emulate a swing. Outside our house, the more magical of the beasts were creating hurricanes of glass shards and dust and everything else. And she ran into the mess, bleeding all the while, so that the beasts would follow. I heard her scream, and nothing else from her. Lyle begins to chortle, crying even harder all the while. I don't want to say her efforts were in vain, but they were, weren't they? At least one of the beasts survived. Of course it did. The storms were started by its companions. It pounced inside through the shattered remnants of the window I was closest to attack me. Al puts their hand to the left side of their stomach, then raises it to their chest in a slight diagonal to the right. It clawed me here. I think I saw my own. Never mind. Oh, you saw your own stomach? Ooh, fun times. Father ran to me. Or your rib cage, I don't know. Father ran to me, caught between me and the creature. While the beast hacked and devoured him, he never once tried to move away. No, he was firmly planted in place, using his goddamn magic to heal me as he died. His goddamn magic. Oh. I never thought Lyle would swear, much no less swearing like a human earthling would swear. Stupid. For all I knew, I was going to die immediately after him anyway. What are a few more seconds of his life, especially if the trade-off is watching your father die for it? I screamed and screamed and screamed as soon as he'd healed me enough that I could finally make noise. By the time he was half gone, half eaten and mangled, entirely dead. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, thank you for that imagery, Lyle! Everyone give it for Lyle for giving us disturbing images in our brains! I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. It's funny that I'm saying this even though fucking Cupid is fucking nightmare fuel. The magic still surrounded and pulsated through me. His magic. That's when the king himself barged into my home, sword in hand. He was young enough back then that he still sometimes joined quests as a warrior, and he was magnificent and powerful. The beast my father had sacrificed his life not to battle but to delay for a few measly seconds. The king slayed it with a single arc of his sword. That's when I fainted. I nod slowly, my eyes wide from the violence of the tale. This must be why Lyle respects the king so much. The king saved their life. I'm about to speak up to comfort them, but they continue. When I woke up, the king explained to me that they'd been journeying to some town nearby where soon some rumored official lived. My own home hadn't held any sort of relevance, but they had happened to see suddenly rising storms in the distance while passing by. They heard screams and monstrous growls when they got closer. It was only coincidence that they appeared when they did, where they did. A mighty convenient coincidence, and a conveniently damned hilarious one considering how late they appeared. I'm grateful he appeared at all. I'm grateful you're alive. Thank you, but I'm not. Lyle, let me finish. Please. I nod, albeit hesitantly. There were 5 survivors in all, but the others were all significantly older than me, and they were taken on as servants for the king. I was much too young, however, and the warriors there were flabbergasted as to what to do with me. For whatever reason, pity perhaps, the king took decided. Pick one and go with it! The king decided to watch over me personally, which was unthinkable considering our difference in status and considering what a miserable little thing I was. I was hollow, and I hardly even thought during the next few months. The day we arrived at the capital and entered the castle, I took a proper wash for the first time in so long, in a bath filled with mirrors. That's when a random realization occurred to me. I had no scar on my chest. I nod. I've never seen a scar on Lyle, and I've never thought anything about it until now. Nobody ever has scars these days, considering all the healing magic and resurrections we have access to, unless it was deliberately left to show off the battles slaves survived. The lack of the scar is something I didn't even notice until then, but as soon as I did, I realized I wanted it. I wanted the scar. I wanted an ugly, disgusting, external reminder of everything that had happened, of my parents' sacrifice and my ineptitude, and I wanted the phantom pains that would never come as a result of the healing magic. My weakling self then punched the mirror I was looking into until it shattered and my knuckles bled. I picked up a shard and tried to recreate the scar the beast had given me, as perfect a copy as I could. As I fainted yet again, I thought I was dying, and I was glad for it. I was wrong, of course. I was young and weak, above all, a coward. The gut was shallow enough that I had minutes to live, and the castle has servants everywhere. One heard the punching and chattering, and they immediately fetched the healer. When I was healthy enough to sit upright, the king came into my room alone. He tried to convince me to live and overcome my fears. It didn't work. He returned every day for a month to give me the same sermon about treasuring life in different worlds, but it still didn't work. In different words, but it still didn't work. My throats are dying! It's dying like Lyle's parents. Oof. Too soon. I'm an ass. Oof. In retrospect, I'm surprised by his dedication to me. An angsty little child he hardly even knew. Perhaps it grew on him a little during the journey. Perhaps I'm just being cocky. He's changed a bit over the years, of course. Time will do that, as well, having to deal with savage monsters ruining your lands non-stop. I was an ungrateful little brat back then. I don't understand why I'd have to survive when my parents hadn't. I didn't see the point of living, period. One day, almost exactly a month later, he changed his tactic. He came into my room, held out his hand. He said,
You want to live for yourself, and you don't want to live to treasure the life that your parents sacrificed themselves to give you. I think that's incredibly juvenile of you, but I've decided I can't stop you from feeling that way, so I won't. This is the last time I visit you personally. I have a final, different request. Live for me. Live for the man who's watched over you the past few months. For the ruler of AIRIS, live for me, and if you wish to die, die for me. Die to further AIRIS, die to protect your nation, and only to protect your nation. Do not let your death be one in vain.
in retrospect, maybe his words were cheesy, if not manipulative, but I don't blame him for it. Nothing else worked. He was probably grasping at just about any new idea that he had the slightest chance of saving me. I don't know why his words suddenly resonated with me when nothing else had. Maybe it was because I was starstruck by the idea of self-sacrifice by emulating my parents and dying with a cause in mind. Huh. That's thinking too highly of my past self. It was probably because the king said he'd never come again, or perhaps it was because I didn't really want to die just then, after all. Because I was selfish and craven above all else. It doesn't matter. Whatever the reason, I took his hand and kissed the back of it. I vowed that my death would not be in vain, and that it'd be for the sake of the king. I vowed to myself, though I never voiced it out loud, that I would not outlive the king. That's what felt right. Lyle stands up, pats down their clothes, and turns toward me. This isn't me. I hate the king, you know. What? He vanquished the monsters so easily when my own father couldn't even leave a mark. At the same time, I love him too. He is like my second father, No, he is my second father, though I may not be a child to him. Remember how I said vassals had the memories of their past stolen in exchange for giving up their sentience? Yeah, of course. I never made that trade-off. I refused it, although I was asked to change my mind on multiple occasions. I didn't want to ever forget my motivations, nor did I want them to dull. Lyle shakes their head. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have burdened you with all this. Mother of souls, how long have I been speaking? You must be bored out of your mind. No, but my throat fucking hurts. So thank you for that. No, of course not. I'm glad you confided in me, and I'm so sorry. Lyle struggles their past. I'd always thought that in some roundabout way Lyle and I were respecting each other by keeping some topics implicitly off limits. Now I wonder why I thought that way. I wonder who first drew the lines. It was me, wasn't it? Of course it was. So much has happened, and although we've long been best friends, there's so much that I've never known about them. It's almost like the Lyle I thought I knew was a mere facade, and I never cared enough to dig deeper. Only now do I realize that the belief has led to a drift between us that I'd never seen until now. Only now do I realize that Lyle has been suffering alone under the weight of their vivid memories all this time. Before I can find the words to comfort them, Lyle speaks up again. I just want you to understand, I think. I want you to understand why I feel the way I do about the king. And I want you to understand the decisions I've made and inevitably will make. What do you mean? I'm going to do everything I can to find the king, the key, and sever the ties to Earth. If people must martyr themselves for AIRIS to win the war against Earth, I will be one of them, and gladly. Lyle, no. I'm sorry. I figure even if I don't end up dying to defend AIRIS against Earth, I'll end up dying for the king sooner or later, and I felt obligated to let you know in advance. What are you talking about? You, on the other hand. What? Stop dodging the subject. We need to talk about... I don't want you to risk even getting injured for the sake of the king. And I sure as hell don't want you stupidly jumping off cliffs like you did before, much less offering to sacrifice yourself. You said 3 seconds ago that you wanted to sacrifice yourself for the king. You sound incredibly hypocritical, right? Promise me you won't risk your life for anything or anyone, okay? I'm sorry. Stop apologizing! You can't randomly start talking about how all this time you wanted to off yourself for such ridiculous reasons. I can't believe we've known each other for years and only now do I learn something like this. I didn't think it was relevant. Now it is. I thought we were best friends. Best friends don't worry each other unless they absolutely have to. Best friends tell each other everything. Best friends help each other live. If you apologize one more time, I'm going to... I scramble around in my thoughts for any threat that could work, but to no avail. You're not the only one with a tragic past, god damn it! I know that. They hesitate, then step forward once, twice, and hug me. Or do I hug... They hesitate, then steps forward once, twice, and hug me. Or do I hug them? They're trembling like a leaf, but so am I. I'm a coward. That's all I am. I admit it. No! You're strong, Ilya. I respect you for it, more than you will ever know. No, Lyle! I bite my lip. I want Lyle to live no matter what. That much is for sure. But myself... Even despite the filter, can I really say I've always been happy with life? And my anxieties have only grown as the filters have begun to fade. Perhaps the filter of my memories has weakened too. As soon as I acknowledge this thought, I feel my memories suddenly bombard my mind clearer and sharper than ever. I gasp in pain. I feel like I'm choking on air and my own memories. Lyle witnessed their parents die firsthand, but I caused the deaths of mine. I was supposed to get help when the bandits came, and I ran away. I ran away. I feel the arms around me tighten, and I hear a whisper in my ear. At first, sounding so muffled, I wonder if I'm underwater. Are you alright, Ilya? Is it my fault? Please feel better. I didn't mean to hurt you. What's wrong? How How can I help? I shake my head in their embrace. I'm fine. It's not you. I'm not strong. Somehow I can't help but chuckle. I can't believe it. But I buckled under my own memories while lecturing you for a continuation of the same. Alia, we're quite a ridiculous pair, aren't we? Considering everything we've gone through, I think we turned out quite well. Maybe. We continue reassuring each other, or trying our best to. I take more comfort in their proximity and contact than the words we say, and it feels like the same applies to them. Even so, I can't help but continue my train of thought in the back of my mind. Can I really say that I haven't doubted the merits of my own existence when I failed my town, my home, my parents? Have I really never questioned the justification behind my own life? I may have. So thinking about this, that doesn't mean I really want to die. This one is what we're supposed to say. That doesn't mean I really want to die. Of course I've had doubts. There can't be a single warrior among the vassals who hasn't questioned the validity of their life. In fact, I suspect even many non-vassals have faced significant losses as a result of the beasts or overall chaos caused by them, and I suspect even they have questioned whether or not to live. Yet they live. Yet we all live. We live and spread optimism that we don't even feel ourselves most days. Everyone in AIRIS has suffered, and many of us continue to suffer. We can't all give up. None of us can. Our entire nation is probably in emotional shambles, but at least our grief is shared. Together we will persevere. One day we will finally be able to look to the futures with only happiness and excitement. Deciding to die is an inherently selfish endeavor. Our lives aren't ours, not really. They were built on the sacrifices of those we love and have loved, those who loved us once. To sacrifice ourselves is to spit over their corpses. Ew. Even if Lyle and I could never learn to live for ourselves, we can live for them. We must. I shake my head, and when tears slip down my cheeks as a result, I realize my eyes have gotten almost as damp as Lyle's. Damp. Hey, my eyes are kind of damp right now. Can you leave me alone? There's no use in chasing these ridiculous trains of thought. Lyle, I realize that nothing I say right at this moment will convince you to abandon any of the beliefs you've harbored for so long. But we're going on every single trip together. Same as always, and I'm going to try damn hard for as long as we're together to convince you that you deserve to live. You're so important to me. I swear to the Mother of Souls that I'm going to change your mind. Now, let's go prepare for our second trip to the desert. We're going to find the key and figure out exactly how to defend AIRIS without risking ourselves in the process. And Lyle, let's not worry Teddy too much anyway. Of course not. I love her almost as much as you do, even if you're her favorite by leagues. They smile at me weakly, and I manage a soft titter response. Do you propose we pretend everything's alright in front of her? No, but I don't want to act like nothing's alright in front of her either. Of course.
Stop teasing me!
Well, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of AIRIS. If you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, then leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!
Die like Lyle's parents.